It's now or never for Mr. Trump's border wall. That's what R.J. Hauman, FAIR's Government Relations Director, says today. Headline in the Washington Post, and I'm Dan Stein, President of FAIR, with R.J. Hauman. And we're going to talk about the prospects for Mr. Trump's border wall, as well as prospects for any other end-of-year congressional action coming right up. This is FAIR Facebook Live, and we're going to be discussing with your questions and comments everything likely to happen in this lame duck session. All right, let's get to the meat of the thing. Right now, we know Donald Trump had a big meeting yesterday in the White House. Tell us a little bit about that, RJ.
Yeah, obviously, President Trump met yesterday at the White House with Vice President Mike Pence and his two Democratic counterparts, as we're calling them these days, Chuck and Nancy.
Or Chancy.
He met with them to discuss a potential end-of-the-year spending legislation. Now, just so everybody knows, back in September, I believe, there was a government funding bill to fund DHS that was passed through December 7th. Now, obviously, because of the passing of President George H.W. Bush, last week they passed what is called a 2-week continuing resolution to continue funding the government past that December 7th deadline to December 21st. So now we're in this situation. We have a stalemate. A bill must be passed to fund DHS and several other government programs by December 21st, or there will be a partial government shutdown. Now, just so everybody understands here, that DHS spending bill, that has to be the vehicle for border wall funding. And it is now or never to get that border wall funding. Why? Because in January, Speaker Pelosi and the Democratic Party, who all oppose the wall en masse, will be taking over. So this is the last opportunity under unified Republican control of government for President Trump to get funding for that border wall. It's between now and the 21st of December where we need to pressure Capitol Hill and all the lawmakers, again, to deliver on President Trump's key campaign promise.
Last opportunity. So this is your opportunity to be calling House and the Senate. These are the numbers, and we're also going to be signaling you to our phone to action page for all the information you need. Let's take a look, if you will, at a few seconds of this exchange between Chuck and Nancy, Chancy, and Donald Trump and the very stoic, statue-like Mike Pence, who doesn't say anything. And then let's talk about what we're listening to. So let's roll this right now.
Can you have border security without the wall? There's a commonality on border security.
The wall is a part of border security.
What it means to have border security.
Yeah, we need border security. The wall is a part of border security. You can't have very good border security without the wall, no.
That's not true.
Just
that
kidding.
is a political promise. Border security is a way to effectively honor our
And the
responsibility.
experts say you can do border security without a wall, which is wasteful and doesn't solve the problem.
All right, RJ, what do you think?
Well, that's how the sausage is made. It's interesting to get a look in at this new glimpse at divided government that we're going to be seeing a lot. But I mean, as you see here, you have two people that are opposed to any form of border security, period. They only want to give President Trump a measly $1.6 billion funding at current levels with restrictions in there that any of the money cannot go to an actual border wall.
Well, let me talk a little bit about Chuck Schumer. All right.
Right.
Chuck Schumer turns around and uses a very clever ploy. He says, experts, unnamed, anonymous experts say a border wall won't work. Look, we've been watching Chuck Schumer for 35 years. He has been masterminding immigration policy, along with Ted Kennedy and others over the years. For some reason, every single border control and immigration control management system you or I or RJ can name, he always has a reason why it's not going to work. Anybody who is along the border in San Diego in the 1980s can see the dramatic impact that fencing, strategic barriers have had in channeling the traffic and making that border easier to manage. No question about it. A border wall is not obviously a solution in and of itself. It has to be accompanied by intelligence operatives, aerial surveillance operations, backed up border patrol, sensors, and other devices. But a border wall makes a lot of sense along key parts of the border. And for the Democrats to take a position in opposition to a border wall when they've supported a fence in the past and all of the kinds of strategic structures, to turn around and say, well, we're willing to support border security. We have heard the same rhetoric year in and year out, throwing a few dollars at the border and claiming they have it under control. And anybody looking at the apprehension data, at the illegal immigration numbers coming across the border, the fraudulent asylum requests coming through can see that the border control situation still needs a lot of attention and to be opposed to all immigration enforcement. The Democrats say they want DACA. They want some kind of a dreamer amnesty. They want some kind of an amnesty. And yet they turn around and they are unwilling to give anything in exchange for their demands. The Democrats, if the Democrats had wanted to pass a DACA-related amnesty for the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, the Obama mini amnesty program, they could have gotten that years and years ago. Instead, they want to use this as a political issue and a bludgeoning tool because they see immigration now as nothing more than a key to political power.
Well, hell, Dan, they could have even gotten that DACA for border wall money even in the last spending bill. Now, we think that would be a terrible deal that repeats mistakes of the past.
Nothing we're going to support it.
Of course, absolutely.
But only because they've operated in such bad faith.
Right, but it also just goes to show that, I mean, they will accept nothing on the enforcement side of things or on the legal immigration changes front in exchange even for an amnesty. It is either a no-strings, clean amnesty for millions of people or nothing. If there's any trade-off of enforcement that would work down the line, they will not accept it. And we'll see that in the next couple years.
Well, this is a very good example of what Donald Trump is dealing with. Now, there's been proposed in Congress a Freedom Caucus. Mark Meadows and his Freedom Caucus have proposed an amendment to this bill coming up in December 21st. Excellent, excellent amendment, okay? Will Donald Trump lean into this House amendment? Tell us what's in the Freedom Caucus
so the
amendment.
Freedom Caucus amendment is basically what the president wants, what we want. The Freedom Caucus amendment, and again, when you are calling Congress, again, this number, 202-836-6341, that's the House number. You'll hear me prompt you, talk to you, tell you what to say. You put in your zip code and they patch you right through to your representative. The second number, 202-791-4807, that's for your senators. Same thing, we'll coach you up, tell you what to say, patch you through to your first senator. Then you stay on the line, it'll put you through to the next senator. But what you got to be telling these people, again, is you call them, you say fully fund the border wall. You close the asylum loopholes that are attracting the caravans and all the Central Americans who come across our border and exploit our asylum laws. And also fight any potential guest worker increases. You got to tell these people, they represent you, not illegal alien smugglers, not open borders activists, and not employers. They represent you. They need to get this done now. But as Dan mentioned, the Freedom Caucus Amendment is kind of a specific thing that does all these things. It provides the $5 billion down payment for the border wall that President Trump is requesting. It also ends catch and release by closing our asylum loopholes, amending the TVPRA, the Flores settlement, does all these wonderful things. So when you're calling your lawmakers, again, tell them in general, you support funding the border wall. Again, you support ending asylum loopholes. And most importantly,
you support paying attention during the closing waning days of the House, Republican control, giving attention to the dire emergent national crisis along the border.
This is the last train leaving the station. Everybody has to understand this. The Democrats who are coming in, they will not give President Trump a dime. They have the power. They have the purse strings next year. They control the power of the purse.
Nothing will come out of the House.
Nothing will come out of the House.
This is the last wave of the brakeman's hand on the last train out of town. So this is the time to act. This is the time to put pressure on the president, time to put pressure on the House Republicans, Senate Republicans. This matters.
And as always, stay tuned to FAIR. Pay attention to our Facebook account, to our Twitter account. We will get you pointed at the right direction for you to influence your lawmakers. If anything changes, if there's something that we hear on Capitol Hill that we need you guys to go after and we need you to make your voice heard, we will let you know. Pay close attention. I know it's the holiday season. We got Christmas coming up and everybody is kind of focused on other things. That's what they know on Capitol Hill. Republicans, as close as you get to Christmas, that's when we always get screwed because they think you're not looking. So be paying attention to what's going on right now. We're not going to get a lot done in the next 2 years in the House. It's now or never. Pay attention, make your voice heard, fight for the border wall.
Let's do this. I'm Dan Stein with RJ Hauman. Thanks for watching.